Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 4 versus 4 on Carpiquet Duellists, and in this one I'm once again teamed up with Haymaker, Betts and Valh, and we're going up against the RKT crew once again. For those of you who saw the last video, would have saw the live gameplay where we did beat them quite convincingly. We jumped back into their lobby that they made again, asked them if they wanted a rematch, and they said yes, so here we are again. This one was a little bit more competitive, so I decided to do this as a replay commentary, didn't actually end up recording it live. So let's talk about what we have today. I'm going to put it to my perspective. On our team we have the 2nd Infantry, the 15th Infantry Scots, 1st Panzer and 15th Scots again respectively. And first of all, myself and Betts kind of decided on a double Scots strat on the right side. The idea being that we would take advantage of the high armor of the AVREs to do a double AVRE push that a lot of their divisions can't really deal with. We identified early on that the Boiter Firefly was going to be the only real obstacle when it came to the AVREs. So we were hoping to play around that by sort of asking Haymaker to hold back his M5 gun and then sort of use that to assist us if the Boiter Firefly came in on our side of the map. So that's what we were kind of looking for early on. Other than that, it was a pretty simple deployment. On my left, Valh, and on the far left it was Haymaker, and they were going to do sort of a double push past this town area, maybe go for the bunker complex here, but they had a bunch of different issues than us. Myself and Betts, like I said, worked together throughout the game in order to push through on this right side. So that was our plan at least. So here's my AVRE, Betts' AVRE is close behind. I did also choose to bring in a Churchill 5. This allows us to engage at the AT guns at range, and the other good thing is it accompanies the AVRE quite well, in a sense that the AVRE will be shot at by, say, Pack 38s if they don't put them onto return fire, and then the Churchill 5 will then have a 1,200 meter range target, especially on a map like this. On Carpiquet Duellists, the Scots work really well because of these Churchill 5s. You can see that I also ended up bringing in 2 Humber AAs. Also identified that the 352nd does have a Ju-87 that they can bring in early on, and that could definitely put a lot of pain onto our AVREs. As well as that, of course, the 91st Luftlander, they have HS-129s, so there's just a lot of air force that could cause issues, and we don't want that hanging about. So if we survive the first run, the Humber AAs should stop them coming around for a second pass, and that's kind of the purpose of the Humber AAs early on, because the 15th Infantry Scots doesn't get amazing AA, and it's Tripolstons, so it's pretty expensive as well. Can't really afford it straight off the bat if I'm going to invest in 2 Humber AAs. So that's kind of what I went for. Didn't need much infantry, so you can see I haven't even got any rifles deployed early on. I've just got a couple of MMG carriers with some recon, and then they're going to sort of allow us to spot enemy units as the AVREs push forwards. But of course our Churchills are very slow. They're going to be taking a while to catch up. Humber AA is getting into position. Honey is also getting into position as well. That's just going to be kind of delayed on its push. The idea being that the Honey can just take advantage of any salient that we make with our AVREs. So early on already we do spot the AT gun there. There is also the 222 right next to it on this right side, a Kubel. So yeah, we sort of look at our opponent, work out that we are going to be up against the 12th SS Panzer, which is probably the worst outcome for the double Scots push, in a sense that there is going to be the Firefly. But looking over to the left side, we can see that the opposing team has opted for sort of a 3-prong attack towards Haymaker and Valh. So Haymaker and Valh are going to be under a lot of pressure early on. There's a double Stör 42 from the 91st Luftlander player supporting the 352nd player, and then the Panzer player also playing on that side. So putting a lot of pressure down there. Betts comes in with a really nice Typhoon strike here. He actually manages to stun pretty much all of the units that the 12th SS player had at this point on this right side, so definitely preventing him from making any significant plays over on this side while we sort of sorted out what we were going to do with our AVREs and the Churchill 5 here. So you can see both mine and Betts' AVREs are pretty much ready to go now. Betts did bring in a dingo for us to give us some veterancy, which was nice, but noticing this salient, I automatically bring in some rifles to try and take advantage of that as quickly as possible, since the 12th SS player is going to be spread pretty thin. So already the Pak 38 coming under fire from my Churchill 5. AVRE is just going to slowly walk towards the fire. Well, move towards the enemy at a walking pace. But early on, HS129B3 is coming in. I call to Betts. Reverse away from the HS129B3. It comes in, gets track wheel destroy onto my AVRE, leaves me vulnerable, but I did bring in a Tripolston very early on after the Humber AAs to sort of stop that from doing any more damage. So we do manage to make it fall back, which is definitely a good thing. And now we're left with this AVRE kind of stranded in the open, but fortunately facing quite well towards this Boiter Firefly and also the Pak 38. So can sort of dodge or bounce a lot of those shots. It's not going to be dodging very much. I mean, it's a huge tank at the end of the day. But the Churchill 5 here is going to be trying to kill off this Pak 38. I say the biggest mistake here is just allowing these Pak 38s to fire at range. Ideally what you would want to do is sort of have the Pak 38s on return fire until the Churchills get closer and then sort of go for the hits then. And what I can't afford to do is let this Boiter Firefly kill my Churchill, so I'm going to have my Churchill try and get behind the bunker here. I was lucky not to get a side shot there, but I do manage to get him into cover, so that's great. My MMG carrier is taking advantage of the salient in the meantime and just going to be putting some rifles into that. So yeah, the AVRE is still under fire. Now opting to bring in the Spitfire Mark 9. That is going to be going for the bombing strike onto this Boiter Firefly, just again to relieve some of this pressure that is being put on to mine and Betts' AVRE. And it's going to force him to sort of respond to that. Unfortunately, the bombing strike goes a little bit awry and doesn't quite get the full pin onto the Boiter Firefly, so it's going to continue to hit Betts' AVRE here, which is being crew knocked out. But in the meantime, rifles are getting up into position, going to be pushing into these hangars. I noticed these spear troops, want to get rid of those, so I unload right next to them. This wasn't ideal since Fushim Spear Troop do have the 9HE, so just to make sure that my rifles don't lose that engagement, I get my Spitfire Mark 9 to go ahead and strafe them, and that gives me just enough time to get the rifles an advantage. So my Spitfire Mark 9, I basically start retreating it as soon as it sort of flies past the ME-109G0, which hopefully doesn't give the ME-109 enough time to shoot down the Spitfire Mark 9, and thankfully, due to Valh here with his Hurricane Mark 4, he comes in and saves the day. It's an absolute hero. Meanwhile, at these hangars, my MMG carrier at range pins down the Panzergrenz whilst they're firing at the rifles. I do manage to find a quick surrender there, so that was cheeky. AVRE still bouncing shots left, right and centre, but the MMG carrier does finally go down. So rifles still in a good position, we still hold this salient. Betts is reinforcing us with more infantry now as well. Churchill 5 is going to be engaging this Boiter Firefly. I'm going to have the Spitfire Mark 9 come in with the bombing strike at the same time. With the Hurricane hanging about, we do kind of have the air superiority here to make this happen. So coming in with that bombing strike, this time managed to get the fallback. Again, just relieving pressure, making sure this Boiter Firefly can't kill off either this AVRE or sort of hit my Churchill 5. So I'm allowing the Churchill 5 to just continue this engagement here. Not going to find the kill with the Churchill 5, but we'll just keep that Boiter Firefly out of commission whilst we continue to take more ground where the 12th SS player is kind of sprung out. Meanwhile, on the left side, Valh and Haymaker under a lot of pressure. Again, 3 players here. We got the WW guy, the Morty, and the other chap playing the Panzer Lehr. So we're just kind of trying to work around that at the moment with the Scots. The Scots not being the quickest doesn't really help. But we are still, of course, making ground. 56% territory lead at the moment. and having a foothold in the enemy hangars on Carpiquet Duellists is definitely a good place to be. So using my Churchill 5 now to engage the 258, I believe the Boy to Firefly is still falling back since I hit that with multiple HE shots from the Churchill 5. So that's just been out of commission for pretty much the whole fight. And now what I'm going to be doing is push the honey as close as I can to this tree line. With the Pak 38 taken care of here, I can maybe get this very close to a point where it can hopefully flank the Boy to Firefly. But the Boy to Firefly comes back online. That's going to be shooting at the honey. The Pak 38 wasn't quite killed off as I had hoped, but with the Churchill 5 of Betts getting on target there, job done. Now one thing I do here is actually speed up a 2-inch carrier to assist our infantry that has made ground into these hangars, and this is very, very important because this 2-inch carrier not only provides smoke, but it also can pin down these Panzergrens and help us find possibly more surrenders where the 12th SS really struggles with command early on. So that's what I'm looking to take advantage of here. Now Haymaker, since we did see the Firefly, he did bring up the M5 gun. It's just been slowly attacked moving forward since he didn't want to lose it unnecessarily. Churchill 5 does get hit pretty hard by the HS-129B3s. There's not really much I can do about that. The only thing I can do, like I said at the beginning, is just stop it coming around for second runs. And that's just important. So there we lose the Churchill 5, and that is annoying for me. But we're still in a really good position, and we've now got AT guns coming up to sort of fill the gaps, especially up here near these hangars. We want to try and kill reinforcements as much as we can and sort of clean up these two Panzer 39s that are coming in. These Panzer 39s can definitely sort of clean up these Bren group and rifles if they're assisted by Panzergren, so that's kind of what we're going to watch out for now. In the meantime, 2-inch carrier there, that's just continuing its mortar fire onto enemy Panzergrens when I can see them. Just going to be moving it behind the hangar there and continuing to do that. Meanwhile, Humber AAs are moving up. AVRE is still in trouble. Not really much I can do about that. Honey's in a nice place so on the right side, and we are pushing now to 58% territory lead. Betts' 6-pounders opening up onto the Panzer 39s is nice. This guy really should just be retreating those and trying to get them out of there, because they are almost at max range anyway, so that would be easy to get them out of there. Meanwhile though, on this right side, Betts has managed to get his AVRE up. That's going to smash one Pak 38. The second one already pinned down here on this right side, and the 12th SS has just been really struggling with us managing to keep the Boy to Firefly out of play. The AVRE is now managing to get close enough to do some damage. It has already been 10 minutes, and obviously Phase B is here, but AVRE is still strong in Phase B. My Spitfire Mark 9, by the way, I was going to come in and try and bomb that Pak 38, but with a double mortar carrier here from Betts, I felt it was unnecessary. Now I do have an AA net, so I'm going to be trying to use that to take care of these ME109G0s, but my opponent not going to let that happen. Both of these Spitfire Mark 9s with the bombs actually just really useful. Going to go instead for the bombing strike onto these AA pieces. One of them gets forced back before it drops its bombs, but the other one gets a really nice bombing strike onto this AA, so that's great. And we're just going to continue to reinforce our position. Betts has brought in 2 honeys, which are going to continue to engage the Panzer 39. I'm bringing in 2 more 6-pounders. And yeah, if we can get these into these tree lines, it makes it very, very difficult for our opponent to like push back effectively, especially if he's not assisted by his teammates. He is starting to get some assistance from the 91st Luftlander on this right side, but the 12th SS player are really struggling against the 2 Scots divisions. So that's what we're kind of relying on here. Betts getting lucky actually with this Pak 38 not penetrating him that second time round, or even the third time round there. Track will damage, I believe that was a Pak 38, yes it was. But yeah, he got pretty lucky with that, and therefore it's still alive. To make sure that it stays alive, Betts has this Brekkie squad moving forward, so I decided to move forwards to Honey and make sure it stayed pinned while the Churchill sort of recovered and could sort of step up the fire once again. So that's us just working together there. But yeah, my AT gun's coming into this hangar area. That's great. We're constantly pinning down any new infantry that's arriving as that's trooping coming in. Panzergren's trying to hold these hangars. Don't quite have the fire support they want. The other thing that happened at the start of Phase B was both myself and Betts opted to bring in the 2-star 17 pounders. And at the moment the main issues for us are, especially if we want to continue pushing, are the Tiger E and the Firefly. Like the AVREs can't keep pushing, Churchill 7s can't keep pushing if those two tanks are alive. So these 17 pounders are incredibly important at the moment to try and take care of that. My 6 pounder comes into the tree line. I try and take a cheeky shot at the boy to Firefly. I'm going to have to fall back there though, but it doesn't quite fall back in the right direction. You can see the Panzergrens get a nice shot on target with their MGs. The Tiger E gets that and it goes down to 1 health. But we all know 1 health AT guns are the best, so it doesn't really matter. 6 pounder is going to be engaging this Panzer IV-H, not particularly doing very well at the moment. But we're definitely solidifying our position here. Boy to Firefly going to be forced back by the Typhoon. I'm looking for the shot onto the Tiger E. Do manage to get the shooter wounded. Going to be trying to push forwards, but this Panzergren in this hangar here definitely causing us issues. There's also multiple aircraft on the field. We've got the 2 Me-109 G0s from the 352nd, Me-109 G2 BR-21 from the 12th SS comes in and hits the 17 pounder, and now we have the 91st player coming in with HS-129B3 and weapon jamming the AVRE of Betts. And my Spitfire Mark 9 here is pretty lucky not to get shot down there by the Me-109 G0, but my AA kind of holding the ground for now. B3 very, very low on health. It's unfortunate that we don't manage to actually shoot it down this time around. What we can see happens though is Haymaker's M5 gun goes down to off map, but Betts' 17 pounder gets into position, smashes that Tiger. Boy to Firefly also now in line of sight. Off map is coming down. The 17 pounder definitely on a timer, but finds the second hit. And that is a beautiful sight for us. We were incredibly relieved to find those kills, as if you allow especially the 12th SS or any of these sort of like other divisions like the Panzerlehr to start to build up, there could be sort of a big chance for a comeback, right? And that can be an issue. But in this case, getting those 2 kills, Betts' 17 pounder did us a lot of favours. So just reinforcing the AA net now, bringing in a couple of Bofors. I've managed to fix up this AVRE and he's back rolling. He sponged so many shots for us. He's finally going to carry on to the front line and try and do it all again. Absolute hero. The amount of shots he took from, was it both the Firefly and all of the Pak-38s was just insane. Now one thing that does happen here as well, Betts finds a kill onto the Panzer IV-H with his 3-star 6 pounder, so all of our AT guns is really doing us a lot of favours. And going into this map is exactly why we picked the division. This is the 15th Infantry Scotchers works so well on Carpiquet because it does have an abundance of 17 pounders and just AT guns that allow you to gain an advantage. Now my Spitfire Mark 9 cleans up the 250-10 on the right side. I was hoping to just pin it so that the Honey could get the kill, but the bombs did the job anyway, so that was fine. And this Honey's also trying to clean up this half track that's going to give us a little bit more ground on this right side, so that's great as well. Betts has now brought up the Challenger. There's 2 CMP Tripolstons as well. Off map comes in, cleans up a AT gun, but AVRE just carries on. This AVRE just shrugging off map frontal shots with AP shells and does not care, carries on nonetheless. 6 pounder once again going to be taking out this Panzer IV-H. There is going to be the Me-109 G2 BR-21 coming in, but it's going to be a little bit too late to stop that Panzer IV going down. Fortunately our AA does manage to stop the rockets from being accurate there. Meanwhile on the left side I did shoot down an Me-109 G0 in the back left. I wasn't quick enough to really save Valh's aircraft as far as I'm aware, but yeah, I was microing those guys on the other side of the map whilst all of this was going on. But yeah, my Honey does get picked off. There was a Panzerschreck in here. I call Betts to stop his Honey, as you can see, and that's just to prevent him from losing that unnecessarily. Now my AVRE does sort of sneak up, but with a Panzergren sort of pushing me, I need to fall back the AVRE and make sure that it doesn't get hit by a Panzerfaust. But I've got the Vickers HMG moving up anyway. MMG carries in position for if it comes through the tree line. But yeah, as you can see, that's the Panzergren on his own, looking to be a hero. I don't want to just risk that AVRE unnecessarily. Now I managed to get the Spitfire Mark 9 to bomb this AA once again. I'm going to keep my Spitfire Mark 9 hanging about in the meantime. 17 pounder is getting in position as well to maybe clean up this Wirbelwind or kill the Panzer II-C. But either way, it's time for the AVRE to carry on. So after all this time, the AVRE is going to try and complete his mission. Off he goes. And onward to great things. 2-inch mortar carriers dislodge this Panzer II. That's going to hopefully put it in line of sight of the 17 pounder. That's kind of what I was waiting for here. So you see the 17 pounder is going to get on target there. Pop goes the Panzer II. There is also this 250-10 that gets rocketed by Betts' Typhoon. That was really nice. ME-109 G6R6 just going to be forced back by all of this AA now. 2 CMP Tri-Polstons, 2 Bofors. I've got my own Polston, and I've got 1 Humber AA left. I think the other one got killed by off-map. So yeah, just more reinforcements on the way. Keeping up the rifle support, keeping up the AT gun support. Also bringing up a Honey just to sort of clean things up behind the AVRE. Unfortunately in the mid here, the HS-129B3 does get a couple of really nice kills onto both the Achilles and onto, I think there was an M4. We do have a lot of aircraft, however, so we are able to shoot that down in reply. My Spitfire Mark 9 just going to be trying to hang around and maybe find a target in the process. But meanwhile, AVRE is going to go up and clean these Flak 38s out. In my way is just the Panzerwerfer, a Wirbelwind, the Beerschwim. Nothing too scary here. And against these 2 tanks, my opponent's very much in trouble here. And we finally clean up this Panzerschreck on the right side. That allows Betts to move up his Honey. I'm bringing up another AT gun here as well, just to sort of solidify this area on the right. I unloaded my 17 pounder just to make sure that it doesn't get killed like Betts' Honey ended up doing anyway. Valh loses another Hurricane. He's been losing them the whole game actually, by the way, which was quite amusing. But 17 pounder is going to be pushing up here, yeah, just solidifying this right side. Meanwhile, the AVRE and so on just going to continue to push on forwards. MMG carriers also moving up as well. And this is just where we really start to break through. The 12th SS losing his Tiger really put him in a bad position. And all of this air support that the opponents are trying to use is just being countered from the start. We sort of knew what was going to be coming. Knew what the counters to our heavy armoured units would be. And therefore we've just decided to try and take advantage of it. Now, a Panther does come in, and this is kind of this guy's last chance to kill off some of our heavy units and gain back some ground. So I bring in a Typhoon AT, and that unfortunately, for whatever reason, decides to just turn off and gets pinned down by the Wirbelwind. So I'm now reliant on this Spitfire Mark 9, and I'm waiting for that to come in and find the kill. The Churchill 7 does go down to the Panther G, really hoping that alongside the Spitfire Mark 9 strafing that the other one can bomb it. MMG carrier got a little bit ahead of itself, but do manage to force that Panther G to fall back. And now it's time for this AVRE that took so much punishment to be a hero. And look at him go. The Panther G, so scared, is going to surrender. The Panzerwerfer cannot stand under the fire of the Spigard mortar, and wow, Panzerwerfer goes down. Wirbelwind is just waiting to die as well, strafing it with the Wirbelwind. Meanwhile, I'm shooting down an ME-109 G6R6 with my Spitfire Mark 9. AVRE is just going to wait to clean up that Wirbelwind. 2 on 2 turns into a real dogfight up here as both sides start to commit more and more aircraft. I bring in my Typhoon AT, Spitfire Mark 9. Betts brings in both of his Spitfires. We have Haymaker bringing his Gabby and the P-47 Thunderbolt, but there's 4 ME-109s here. Unfortunately, my Spitfire Mark 9 goes down. But my Spitfire Mark 9 here gets really nicely onto the back of the ME-109 G6R6 and then manages to circle round onto the back of this ME-109 G6R6. My other Spitfire gets onto the back of this one, so that's 2 more Spitfire killing the ME-109 G6R6s. And well, with the Panzerwerfer going down and I think the Wirbelwind surrendering, that is going to seal the deal, and once again, we are victorious over RKT. It was a hell of a game, honestly. I actually really enjoyed this one. Having that whole like double AVRE strat at the start was really, really interesting. But I think just the allocation of players didn't pay off in the early game. They pushed 3 players onto Valh and Haymaker, who did a really good job of holding under all of that pressure. But in the end, the Scots breaking through there, and that AVRE coming up trumps against a Panther. Not often you see that. But yeah, a lot of fun. And yeah, it was good to have a rematch with these guys. So, in the end, pretty nice KDs for all of us. Betts there with the 1,726 to 325 losses. Absolute madman. Honey manages to pick up the Pack 38 and the 258. We got the Spitfire Mark 9 bomber. Gets credited for the Panther G and the Vulcan kill. Also shot down the ME190, so pretty nice amount of kills there. That's the Panther G and Vulcan that got surrendered in the face of the AVRE, so just to give some context there. AVRE claims up a few itself, but look at these points for me. All of the 91st Luftlanders, ME109 G6R6s being shot down by the 2 Spitfire Mark 9s. That is Battle of Britain and a half. That is why we won that. Right, over to losses. Well, off-map did hit us pretty hard, but it didn't quite do enough. And with the abundance of AT guns that we had, especially on this kind of map, it made it very difficult for the 12th SS to operate. And I think myself and Betts did a great job of sort of keeping the boys Firefly out of play for the majority of Phase A. And that allowed us to sort of play around it and find the kills onto the AT guns and stuff. So either way, interesting game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting to be able to play like a team 4v4. It's not often that you get chance to. Often like when you go into like a lobby and you have 4 players on your side because you just want to play with your friends, you end up against a bunch of randoms and then it doesn't necessarily turn out to be a very interesting game. But in this case, them being a team and us being a team, I thought was just really cool. And yeah, interesting stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.